I'll have to be honest with you. First thing I'm going to mention right up front is it's free. I like the service when it's free because, you know, you can tie up a lot of money in different services, and from experience I found out that sometimes you can pay a lot of money and you may not be getting that much out of it.
Good afternoon, welcome to GrainTV. It's May 12, 2014. I'm Logan Burgess. To my right here is Cody Bills to help break down a negative day for the grains in Chicago. Jumping into the quotes here, you can see corn was off 8 cents. Soybeans led to the downside, down 21 3/4, and we had Chicago wheat off 7.5 cents. Let's talk about beans here first off, Cody. Another very weak day for the soybean complex, but it's been a very volatile ride here on the old crop contracts. What was your take on the weakness here today?
Well, absolutely. I think one of the things to take away really is the WASDE reaction. The reaction that we saw on Friday to the WASDE numbers kind of surprised us. We ended up trading up very sharply despite really numbers that looked to be a little bit bearish. When you look at the price action though in the overnight, we traded up to $14.96. That happened to be an area that we previously tested on our way down here. Yep. That was a previous low. As we went through that, we had a roll reversal, and that should be a resistance level. It acted as a resistance level. Notice also when you get up around that $15 whole level, that whole number level, that's also going to be a resistance level. But the biggest area of resistance in the overnight session, when you look at this trend line, really starting from really around February till right about now, that was a bullish trend line. And when we fell through that on May 1st, this is really our first time we tested that in a meaningful way. We failed. I think the bottom line here is this bull trend line has been broken, and I would be a little bit more aggressive if I was someone hedging my crop here or hedging any old crop sales. Logan, we did have crop progress out though. Can you walk us through kind of what we saw there and whether or not we may see some selling pressure? Or
yeah, it's possible, Cody. If you take a look here at the numbers, clearly a very busy week last week for U.S. farmers. As you can see here now, 59% of the corn crop is planted, up substantially from what we saw last week when just 29% of this crop was planted. And we're now actually 1% ahead the 5-year average. So there has been trade chatter that there's concerns about this corn crop getting planted. I guess in my mind now this needs to be thrown out the window. That's no longer going to be a bullish factor here for the new crop moving forward. Taking a look at soybeans, you can see 20% now planted, better than trade expectations of 17%, right in line with the 5-year average. So soybean planting pace right now shaping up to be quite average. If we look at spring wheat here, 34% planted, a little bit behind the 5-year average. We know that planting conditions in northern states for corn, soybeans, and spring wheat have been less than ideal. So that's one thing to keep an eye on here. But I think the big takeaway from this report is that corn number, 59% planted. Substantial increases in Iowa, where we see 70% of that crop now planted. Last week, roughly about 23%.
Absolutely. And when you look at the weather going forward, it is interesting. You know, we had some big jumps in planting progress last week because we had some dryness. But early on this week, it's not looking too favorable. When you look at planting conditions here, you'll notice a lot of moisture moving across the Midwest, and it looks like that'll be moving east here really until Wednesday. So Wednesday we may start to see a little bit more planting pick up, but you know, we're going to have to get these fields dried out before we can get back in the fields. For the most part, it looks like half the week will be decent for planting, half the week will be a little bit behind. So, you know, this will weigh on prices. I think it weighs a little bit on prices here. Yep. I think for the most part today, what drove prices were expectations for the planting numbers here today. Yep. We got that. We seemed to meet analysts. We finally got caught up on the planting progress. What's your take?
Yeah, I agree, Cody. I think, you know, maybe one thing to look at on corn here is that, as I mentioned earlier, there were expectations for delayed corn planting here to support prices. I don't think that's going to be a big factor here moving forward. I think people are going to start recognizing the fact that if we have a relatively normal growing season, corn ending stocks are going to be quite large next year. And considering the price of the December contract, we may not be seeing those prices come October, November, December. So that's kind of my take on things, I guess, here based on those crop progress numbers that we got this afternoon.
Yeah, that sounds fair enough. Guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. If you have any questions about what we talked about today, give us a call at 877-472-4607. Remember, if you're interested in watching the markets trade while you're in the fields, you want to be able to monitor your positions, give us a call, and we'll set you up with a demo of the mobile trading platform. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you tomorrow.